Fine, I like it this way. This is Let Us Interrupt You, episode 85, here on Saturday, October 8th, 2022. I am Joseph Olivo. There is no Michael Smith. Brian Pelletier was going to be on the show. He just randomly canceled last minute. I just decided to record the show myself. It would have been a lot easier, traveling-wise, for both participants of the show, or I should say two less participants of the show that would have been on here today. The show may as well be renamed the Sports Geek Show or the Sports Junkie Show, starring Joseph Olivo, because literally I've been coming up with the sports stories, I've been coming up with the segments, I've been coming up with a lot of stuff. A lot of segments were changed last minute. A lot of things were planned that got changed last minute. Just all the way around, it's been less communication. Not really by my partner per se, because he's having some traveling issues and all that. So anyway, my friend was able to send me some text messages of the games that he had picked for today, because he could not make it. Which I might as well get these NFL picks out of the way as well. But before I do, I will talk about the Broncos and Colts game from Thursday night and how much of a disaster that was. You want to talk about a team that's basically, really the least likely to score the most points here. And if you hate offense, high-scoring offenses, well, you got to treat for this one, because this was a terrible game. No touchdowns during the game, 7 field goals combined, featured by both teams. Stephon Gilmore basically was the hero of the Colts in overtime on Thursday night. It was a treat. Let's put it that way. It was a treat to watch that, a little bit of last minute of that game. When I got to it, I didn't miss much in this game. The Broncos were up at one point, were up 6-0. The Colts practically outscored in the second half 12-3. It took about 68 minutes to finish off the Broncos. That was unfortunate for the Broncos at that point. I have a little bit of Wi-Fi issues right now, so I'm having my screen is telling me that there's an issue with the signal. So I hope, because usually when that happens, sometimes the audio cuts in and out. There's some things that get mixed around in. So this usually just happens when I'm by myself, really. I'm not sure why it doesn't happen although it didn't happen once with Mike. I shouldn't say that. There was an NBA preseason that was on last night. Celtics got the win last night. Kemba Walker went on a limb last night. I talked about Al Jones, who was a great coach and all that. But I'm not going to focus on the NBA preseason yet. The NBA season starts in about 10 days. It actually starts on the 18th. I actually thought it started on the 19th. It starts on the 18th. But I will get into the Colts Broncos highlight as soon as this loads up. This is a very, very shaky Wi-Fi. So I'm not really in the strongest signal for this Wi-Fi. I'm not sure why it is giving me issues here. But here it is. Here we go. This is where the stats were last night. Russell Wilson, 21 for 39, 274 yards, 2 picks. Matt Ryan, 26 for 41, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns for either of the team last night. Pierce had 8 catches for 81 yards. Sutton had 5 catches for 74 yards. Russell Wilson threw a key interception in the red zone to, I believe that was, I don't know, was that to Stephon Gilmore? I believe it was. It was Gilmore who got the first interception. I don't remember who got the second one. But I may be wrong on who got the interception. But we're going to move into overtime right now. Chase McLaughlin kicked the field goal, made it 12-9. Wilson was in the red zone. They go for a 4th and 1 after taking the timeout. They aren't back in shotgun. Unfortunately, it ended up being deflected by Stephon Gilmore in the end. He had KJ Hamler wide open in the end zone. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be. It was on a slant play. Hamler slammed the helmet. Broncos get the loss at home. They're now 2-1 at home this season. And the Broncos overall are 2-3, while the Colts are 2-1, as the Colts get the win 12-9. And Richard Sherman sat it off on this, and I do have the audio for this, which I think is funny, because it looks like he's got some PTSD going on Not sure what else to say about it, really, other than him just flipping out about the whole thing. But here is the clip. If anyone wants to listen to it, here it is.
First off, you're winning the game by 3 points. You're in a goal-to-go situation. All you have to do is run the football.
You're going back to regulation.
I'm going back to regulation. They had no timeout. You run the ball, the game's over. But instead, you put the ball in his hands, and after Sutton had just big-boyed him and said he's a little boy, like he's not former defensive player of the year, then you know what Gilly does? Man, it just triggered me. It's like, flashbacks. On the final play, you got to run the ball again. Like, I wish I had Marshawn up here. Like, 1 yard. You need 1 yard. Run the ball. Run the ball. And CT, all he has to do is run the football. Like, necessary criticism. I've said enough criticism for him, but God dang it, run the dang ball. Like, learn from your mistakes.
Can somebody fill me in? What is he referring to?
I'm confused. Have you been in this situation before?
Run the ball.
So that was Richard Sherman, who signed it up on the Amazon NFL Prime post game. I don't get why they didn't run it. I'm just trying to figure this out right now. You got Melvin Gordon as your running back. Okay, just think about this for a minute. You have Melvin Gordon as your running back. Okay, you're at the 2 or 3 yard line at this point. Go for it on 4th down, and really you needed 1 yard. Realistically, you could have just gotten the 1st down, dropped to the ground, and that would be the end of it right there. You didn't need to necessarily go for a pass right there in that situation. I get Wilson's trying to be the hero in this whole thing and do something that he couldn't do in Seattle in the Super Bowl 49 thing. Maybe that's what it is right now, but he's got the worst luck. He does. And Nathaniel Hackett, by the way, in his first 5 games as head coach, sucks. He's just another one of those disposable head coaches that get chance after chance after chance after chance to do something right now. And the problem is this guy's been a coach for a cup of coffee, and he already sucks. He's probably one of the worst coaches out there. And it's sad because for a guy who, was really under the LaFleur coaching tree, really, is what I'm going to call it now at this point. And so far, it's looking like right now he's a total embarrassment. Like he's completely the most useless head coach there is right now in the entire NFL. Another disposable figure. Going to be thrown away at this point, wasted away. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. But, I mean, this was pathetic Thursday night. And I did pick the Colts to win this game, ironically. I did pick the Colts to win. So I was right about that. So I was right about the Colts winning in Denver that night. And it seems to be the track record right now for Indianapolis right now at this point. But they always find a way to win in Denver. It doesn't matter who the quarterbacks are. That's just the story. It is what it is. Matt Ryan fumbled again for the 10th time. That's all I got to say about it. There was one play in the game where the Broncos wide receivers collided each other and they were both fighting for the ball. And another play where I guess basically the person dropped the ball, kicked the ball, and all in the same sequence. And it was just the Broncos are not a good team this year. They're not. I had Denver winning the division now at this point because this is a must win now for the New England Patriots at this point this weekend right now. They can go 2-3. I see the Patriots having a better run with this year. Even with the Mac Jones situation, even with the bad coordinators, even with the somewhat called coordinators on that team, crapping all over this team. It's a lot better than what Denver's going through right now at this point. They have an incompetent head coach. They have a bad offensive line. Garrett Bowles broke his leg last night, or Thursday night. He's done for the year. Ronald Darby tore his ACL, the defensive back for Denver. He's out for the year. I mean, all the way around, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Denver. Their offensive line is getting weaker at this point. Your best offensive lineman is out. The rest of your offensive line sucks. And it's just sad. It's just sad because it's gotten to this point now to where with Garrett Bowles gone, your offense is going to be terrible. It is. It's going to be terrible. There's no other way of looking at it. And it's sad because Denver should be right now contenders right now at this point. They should be a lot better than what they are right now. And all they've been up to this point is mediocre. They have been terrible at this point. And I don't think they're going to really survive this run. I got to be honest. They have a tough schedule up ahead of them. They play at the Chargers next week. I don't see them beating the Chargers next week on Monday Night Football. I don't. I think Justin Herbert is so much better. Their offense is a lot quicker. The defense is starting to slow down a little bit. Denver's getting worse defensively. You look at the Chargers defense itself against that, even with Joey Bosa out, that Charger defense is unstoppable. And I think Russell Wilson's going to have a hard time, especially the way he's throwing the ball now. I mean, he's been terrible. So I'm expecting 2 or 3 interceptions in this game. I'll be surprised if there isn't one right now. Might as well get into NFL picks for the week. I might as well get it over with at this point. I'll start with what Mike picked up this week. Mike actually has an upset alert. He had the Giants beating the Packers. He had the Patriots beating the Lions. The Bills beating the okay, who was Buffalo playing this week? I think I have it on my phone. Buffalo's playing Pittsburgh at home. Kenny Pickett's debut, which I will have the NFL picks right now as well to see if I can match up with his. He has the Chargers this week beating the Browns. The Jags beating the, I believe they're playing the Texans today, which is what I have too. The Vikings getting the W today as they're playing against, where are the Vikings on here? The Vikings, oh, they're playing the Bears today. Okay. He's got the Seahawks winning today, Dolphins winning today against the Jets, the Buccaneers beating the Falcons, Titans beating the Commanders, 49ers beating the who the 49ers beating playing today. The 49ers are playing the Panthers. Eagles are playing the Cardinals in Arizona. The Rams beating the Cowboys, and Ravens beating the Bengals, and Chiefs winning on Monday Night Football. For college, he's got upset alerts this week. Kansas beating TCU, Tennessee beating LSU, Arkansas winning today. I think Arkansas. I'm trying to figure out who the hell Arkansas is playing today. They're even ranked at all. I don't even think Arkansas is even ranked. Oh, he hasn't beaten Mississippi State in an upset. He has Cincinnati winning over South Florida. He has Oklahoma State winning over, I think I have the game right here against Texas Tech, which at this point they should. They're at home. And Texas Tech is not ranked. He has Ohio State winning today, Washington, Ole Miss, Kansas State, BYU beating Notre Dame, Kentucky, USC, Clemson, Wake Forest, and North Carolina State all winning, along with Alabama and Oregon. So, yeah, that's really about it there. Did he have UCLA? Yeah, he did have UCLA. I had UCLA as well winning today. I'll give you my picks right now for college football. Just get those out of the way quickly before I get into the NFL. I have Michigan beating Indiana, Ohio State beating Michigan State, Clemson beating Boston College, BYU beating Notre Dame. I have Tennessee beating LSU. I have Kansas beating TCU. I have Mississippi State beating Arkansas. I'm sorry. I'm no longer believing in Arkansas anymore. KJ Jefferson is good, but the Arkansas defense is not. Their offense is kind of, at this point, not upset mode at this point. They're not in the right frame of mind after that loss in Alabama. And their coaching staff's not that great. So I got to go with Mississippi State to win that one. Cincinnati beat South Florida. Georgia beating Auburn today. I have that. Oklahoma State beating Texas Tech. UCLA beating Utah. I have Ole Miss beating Vanderbilt. I have Washington beating Arizona State. USC beating Washington State. Kentucky beating South Carolina. Wake Forest beating Army. Kansas State beating Iowa State. I have Alabama beating Texas A&M. That's on later on tonight at 8 o'clock. I have North Carolina State, 14th ranked, beating Florida State, and I have Oregon, 12th ranked, beating Arizona. So that's my top 25 upsets at this point. Now back to the NFL. So I will start with the Giants and the Packers playing in London. Mike had the Giants winning this game. I'm not sure if he just believes in Saquon Barkley more. The defense is not that good for Green Bay. I think that's what he's thinking at this point. I wish I had him here. Unfortunately, he's not here. But yeah, I do have this. I do have the Packers beating the Giants. I think the Packers defense is strong enough against that Giant offensive line. I think they'll make a difference in this game. Daniel Jones is not good in high-pressure situations and big-time matchups. He chokes a lot. He is clear to play in the game. Tyrod Taylor is out. I think he got a concussion, which is why he's not going to be playing the game, which realistically, Tyrod Taylor would have actually found a way to win the game somehow in an upset form. I don't see that happening. I do see Saquon Barkley going off, though. I do see that. I can see him going for like 190 yards in this game, rushing. The only thing that holds his team back is Daniel Jones throwing the ball. That's it. They're going to want him to throw the ball a lot in this game for whatever reason, and it's not going to work out. So, yeah, I got Saquon Barkley getting 190 yards, but in the end, it won't matter because the Packers are just going to get the win. They're their usual team. They're hanging on by a thread. They're not really in the top tier conversation, but sort of is. But they'll get the win against this easy opponent kind of feel. The only difference is this game's gonna be a lot closer because both teams are good. They are 3-1. The Giants are not a fraudulent team, I don't think, at this point. The way they're playing defensively right now at this point, and the way their offensive line's playing, I thought it was going to be the battle of the bad offensive lines last week. It turned out the Giants have a better offensive line. The Packers can try to make some noise with it a little bit at this point. And you also got Aaron Rodgers in a situation like this. Who's going to air the ball? It's going to be Saquon Barkley versus Aaron Rodgers. That's going to be the story of this game. And I got to say, the Packers, they're probably going to win. They're probably going to win this game by a score of 23-20. This is going to be one of those games where Rodgers doesn't really do much in this game, doesn't play well, but plays okay. And you got Saquon Barkley who just goes off and the team comes up short. It's one of those scenarios. You got Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. Bills, I think, get the win here. This is a no-brainer. Kenny Pickett's debut. He's going to have a rough one against this Buffalo defense. This Buffalo defense is dangerous. Pickett's put in a situation right now where he's definitely not ready. He's still green a little bit in the ears. And I think, realistically, he's just going to have a hard time against this Buffalo defense. I don't see how Pickett wins this game. I don't see how Pittsburgh wins this game. Their defense is not as good as advertised either. I think their defense stinks, if you ask me. They had a hard time last week against Zach Wilson and the Jets. What can I say? I really thought for sure that Zach Wilson was going to give this Jet team a lot of heartache. It turns out they didn't. In reality, Kenny Pickett actually salvaged the Jets' win. If it wasn't for those 3 interceptions, the Jets probably would have lost the game. But yeah, I mean, I think realistically here, Buffalo's going to kill him. There's no other way of putting it. I'm thinking 35-3. There's not much else to say here about this team, really. They're not that good. They're not that good, the Steelers, this year. It's unfortunate. Mike Tomlin's been put in this situation right now of dealing with a horrible team right now like the Steelers are right now because they are a horrible team. Pickett's had one breakout game because they faced the Jets defense. What can I say? They faced their secondary. It's not that great. Sauce Gardner is way better than what he's advertised. He's been giving up a lot of plays. It's just, it is what it is. Lions at the Patriots. I'm going with the Patriots to win here. I don't see this really is a no-brainer at this point. Detroit has never been successful in New England. Now, granted, the Lions have the most high-scoring offense in the league, but they're dead in last right now in points allowed at 35 and total yards allowed at 450 yards. There's not much else to say here about this as my stomach is starting to rumble right now. I did not have breakfast this morning, just FYI. But yeah, I'm going with the Patriots win here. It's going to be a close game. I don't think either offense right now honestly is knocking this out of the park, really. You got Jimmy Collins' return. I think Collins gets a pick 6 here to seal the deal here. And I think this game somehow goes to overtime here. And I think Jared Goff just chokes in the end and just allows an interception to Jamie Collins in Collins' return game, which they've signed him back this week. So he is now number 99. Number 99 gets a pick 6, 26-20. Patriots win in overtime. Falcons at the Buccaneers. Tom Brady came in this week with a shoulder injury and a ring finger injury. He is fine. He will be playing in the game regardless. I think Tampa Bay smashed Atlanta. There's no other way of looking at it. They're still sticking with Marcus Mariota. There's been no news right now about Desmond Ridder coming into the game. In fact, he didn't even come into the game at all. Instead, what they decided to do last week was run the ball so many freaking times that it tired out Cleveland's defense. So if they think they're going to, I mean, they might be able to do that against Tampa Bay because their rush defense has been minusculely terrible at this point. They allowed 190 yards last week against Kansas City. But I think Tampa Bay wins. I think Tom Brady outplays this team. There's no Kyle Pitts this week for Atlanta this week, which makes it even harder now for Atlanta to even gather any offense because there's no one to throw to. This 2-2 team is going to keep on losing with this head coach. I don't know what's worth, Arthur Smith with the Falcons or Nathaniel Hackett with the Denver Broncos. Take your pick. I have no idea. Both guys suck. There's not one that's better. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, I think Tom Brady has a breakout game. Even with his injury, he proves everybody wrong against his weak, crappy Falcon defense. This is just another step going forward. And for Brady moving on from everything, moving on from Gisele. Before I even get into the rest of my picks, let me just get the story out of the way. So Brady was on the Let's Go podcast this week, just talking about the NFL. I think it was it was based on the NFL concussions thing. That was going on this week. So he was talking about the concussion stuff that was happening in the NFL. He was following. He set it up on this. This is what he had to say on the Let's Go podcast. This is what he said. Quote, I think concussions are a part of contact sports. Brady said, I watch boxing and I watch UFC. People are knocked out quite a bit. That's part of playing these very physical sports. Brady said, all of them come with risk associated with it. And I think you're an athlete that chooses to do that. You've got to understand that's part of it. Just like you can injure other parts of your body as well. My view has always been an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I'm just going to leave it there because there's more of the quote here to the story. But I like that quote. I actually even like the portion of it. It does go on here to saying to do your best to really try to be proactive with your health and to make sure that when you do get injured, you can recover as quickly as possible and get your body in the best position possible to give it the best nutrients as possible to deal with whatever trauma you come into contact with, post quote. So that's what he said about Tua's situation. I will say this though about Tom Brady, to have to do this podcast and play football at the same time. He does got a point about the Tua situation though. And the way the NFLPA is doing it now at this point, I don't know if they're heeding Tom Brady's advice at this point. I don't know what the heck it is. Maybe that's why they kicked him out for week 5 here, Tua. By the way, the Dolphins don't have Tua Tagovailoa playing this game. It'll be Teddy Bridgewater. I said this from the get-go now this way, that Teddy Bridgewater should start the rest of the year. I know Tua's been playing on an MVP level, but it is Bridgewater's time. He does throw a better ball, I think, than Tua does, which is kind of surprising. But Teddy Bridgewater's been successful. He's actually a much better quarterback than people advertise him as. So that's that. He also went on record to talk about the NFL. There's a lot of bad football out there, basically calling out the NFL. And Gisele basically apparently threatened divorce 100 times at this point. To me, the way I see it, and I think the way everybody else sees it, if you're threatening to divorce your husband because he's working too much, to me, you don't really truly love him. You're out to control him if you're Gisele, which is what Gisele's trying to do here. So I did get into that, and I did think about that. See, if I had a wife that wanted to work a lot and I wanted to work a lot, I hire a nanny. I don't divorce them because they work a lot and make a lot of money and they help the family out. I wouldn't do that. That just sounds idiotic to me. So that's my thought on the whole thing with that. I think in general that it is kind of stupid that they actually did go through with this, by the way. By the way, I forgot to mention that for the Patriots game, Zappe is most likely going to start right now. Mac Jones has been ruled doubtful, so he will not be playing this game. It will be Bailey Zappi and Zappe that will get the start here, I believe. They have not officially ruled it yet. They'll probably rule it tomorrow. Anyway, besides that, so now you hear this stuff. This does come into play here, as I'm having a guy cut the lawn right now in my outside of my house, which I'm surprised he's coming today because the grass is kind of, I shouldn't say it's wet, but it's not really raked or anything like that, so I really didn't have the time to rake it this morning. But anyway, besides that, I guess I'll just have to wait, I guess. Screw it. I'll talk over it. If the audio is too bad for it, I'll just have to keep talking over it at this point. Anyway, I don't even know why he coming out anyway, 11 o'clock in the morning anyway, burn the grass. But anyway, but yeah, Tampa Bay's going to win. This is, by the way, Bill Belichick's 400th career NFL coach game. Just to clarify that, just want to get that out of the way. That was posted on NBC Sports on Sunday Night Football. I do have that on here, which I really can't even believe this is Belichick's 400th career game, coaching-wise. I don't know. Does that sound about right? 400th career game coaching? It is kind of insane when you think about it, really. That's now got 400 career games written all over as Patriots head coach. And here's a stat for you. The last time Tom Brady lost 3 games in a row was back in 2002. So that was another stat right there I wanted to bring up in that story today. Also, getting the news right now, Tavon Austin getting released by the Buffalo Bills, veteran wide receiver. He had no place in that team. Anyway, Kwity Paye, by the way, got injured in the Denver game. So Kwity Paye out with a high ankle sprain. I don't believe they put him on the IR just yet, but they're ruling him right now that he might be going on the IR. It might be out for 4 weeks. So that's not good for him. Not good for him at all. Now back to the rest of the picks. So Chargers-Browns in Cleveland. Last year, the Chargers didn't get to win at home against the Cleveland Browns with Baker Mayfield versus Justin Herbert duel here. I think this is going to go the exact same direction here with the Chargers here. I think they get another win here. I think their offense is back. I think Justin Herbert is fine, even with the damaged ribs. I think he's playing through. He's playing with a lot of toughness. I think this Charger offense is good. Their offensive line, I think, has found a way to be okay without Rashawn Slater, their best offensive lineman. To me, Cleveland's a fraudulent team. They are. Myles Garrett was out last weekend because he was in the car accident that he was in. Now he's going to be playing in the game. It's not going to matter here. Cleveland's not that good. I don't think the wide receiving class is even that great. I think it's relied on Amari Cooper pretty much really and Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And you got Brissett, who's a glorified backup starter, who I don't think is really that great either. I don't. I got to be honest. I just think that the numbers don't add up here for him. He's not good with his team. Amari Cooper should be a lot better than what he is right now on this team at this point. He's really not, which is the sad part in this whole thing. But yeah, the Browns, I think, realistically aren't that good. You got Clowney, who's going to come back in the game. The team defensively is why Cleveland's winning. I don't think the offense really has much to do with it, really, although sometimes it does. But in this case, it's not really about Brissett here. I mean, it's really about the defense shutting down the opposition. Because Cleveland's offense is not an elite offense. They're not – like I'm looking at Cooper's numbers the first 5 weeks into it. The numbers are all right. They're not like what he was like in Dallas. It's not like what he was like in Oakland. So I just don't believe he's that good. I really don't. This is I don't know why the heck it came so early. They've been coming here on Saturdays now for the last 2 weeks. I'm not sure why. Anyway, Bears-Vikings. Vikings are 3-1. The Bears are 2-2. Actually, we'll get to the 4 o'clock games. It doesn't big right now. These are more 1 o'clock games. Vikings at home are dominant at home. That's just the way I'm going to put it there. They're 0-1 on the road. Or actually, I should say that they've had some road wins, actually, the Vikings. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say they're 0-1 on the road. They're actually 1-1 on the road because their only other road game besides Philadelphia was in London, which was last weekend. Give me the Vikings here. I think the Vikings, realistically, I think they have a much better offense at flow here. Justin Jefferson's just going to be too much for Chicago to handle. Defensively, Chicago's not that good. I got to be honest. I think they've had their easy weeks here. They've had their tough weeks. They're not really convincing me otherwise that Justin Fields is the next best thing. In fact, that Chicago offensive line is mediocre at best. They can't protect the kid. He's been put in a bad situation once again with another bad head coach who doesn't seem to know what he's doing, and Matt Alvarez. So I got to go with the Vikings here to win here. Vikings win 24-14. And for the Chargers game, I forgot to mention this before, the score for that game, 30-20. I give that score. Seahawks are at the Saints. No word yet if Winston will be playing in the game. I did not get the latest on him yet. Calvin Throckmorton is out. Kamara has been ruled questionable. P.J. Williams is out. Marcus Mason has been ruled as questionable. And Peyton Turner, defensive end, is out. Kenneth Walker, the third, questionable. Marquise Goodwin's questionable. Coleman is questionable. Drake Young is out. And Darryl Johnson is on injury reserve for Seattle. Seattle's had a really interesting start to their season. Geno Smith has been the real deal for this team in the first 4 games. I mean, you talk about a quarterback right now that was dead in the water. Everybody would be taking for Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. I don't think that's the case now. I really don't think that's the case now at this point. I think Seattle is a legitimate football team at this point that I think realistically is getting overlooked. You got Pete Carroll, who's on this mission right now to basically find the next Russell Wilson. I think he already – I mean, I'm not saying Geno Smith's the next Russell Wilson. That's way too far in advance to say that. But he's found another good quarterback. Like, he doesn't need Russell Wilson. In his opinion right now, he's better off without him. And I think Seattle is a better team than the Saints. I'm sorry to say, but they are. The Saints right now are terrible. I think their defense is not as good as advertised. They always seem to blow it in these kind of games. Lately, they've just been awful. They have just been an awful defense. So if I had to say right now, if I had to put my money right now on this game, I know the Saints are 5-point favorites here, but I'm going with the upset pick here. I'm going with Seattle right now over the New Orleans Saints here. I'm going with Seattle wins the game 28-24. I think the Seahawks realistically are real here. I think Rashad Penny gets 2 rushing touchdowns. I think Geno Smith gets a touchdown throw to DK Metcalf. I think 2 throws to DK Metcalf in the end zone. So I just think realistically that's it. Seattle gets a win here. Dolphins at the Jets. No Tua Tagovailoa, but Teddy Bridgewater will get the start. The Jets aren't going to win this. They're not going to go 3-2 and go ahead of Miami. I'm sorry, they're not. They're not going to go above and be in first place here because that's what would realistically happen if Buffalo would have lost and Miami would have lost the game. I just don't see that happening. The Dolphins get the win. I think the defense will shut down the opposition here. Their defense has really been the main story right now going forward here with this. The Jets aren't that good offensively against tough opponents. I don't think they are. I have not found one game yet that I felt convinced that they were good in these games. I just don't think they are. I don't. The Jets this year so far to me have had some interesting wins. Without Flacco on this team, they're just another average Joe Schmo team. That's all they are. They faced the Browns. They beat the Browns because the Browns were stupid and crap themselves, and they beat the Steelers. They've not had a home win yet that I felt convinced about. They're 0-2 at home this year. They're 2-0 on the road. That trend continues. They're going to go 0-3 at home. I think the Dolphins win the game by the score of, I'm going to say 30-13 here. I'm going to say that the defense does most of the work here, shuts down Zach Wilson, just gets his kid frustrated. I think Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle go off again. I don't see the Jets secondary shutting down any of these guys. I think Waddle goes off for about 12 catches. I think Tyreek Hill goes off for about 13. I'm going to say 25 catches combined. It's going to be it's going to be a battle here. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is the right quarterback for it. I think Teddy Bridgewater may actually take the job from Tua. That's how I look at it. Now, I know people want to say that Mike McDaniels is kind of invested in Tua at this point, but I don't know. To me, I just think to myself, if Teddy Bridgewater has a pretty banger of a game, the Dolphins win. They shut down the opposition here, the Jets offense here, and they do this with they have a great attack with Bridgewater here. Bridgewater might take this team all the way. He might do it. So, Dolphins going to win 30-13. Titans at the Washington Commanders. I'll give you another upset here. I'll give you two upsets here. I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders over the Tennessee Titans. I'm not sure what it is. I still believe in Carson Wentz. He's had a rough couple of weeks since he got that first win against Jacksonville back in week 1. 4 weeks later to face it off against the Tennessee Titans team that I'm not even convinced at all is even that good. They almost blew another game. So, I mean, their defense is not as strong. They're not good against tough quarterbacks. Wentz is a tough cookie to try to figure out. Even though I did say the Carson Wentz project is dead, I'm not saying this team is dead just yet. Give me the Commanders at home here. I think they win the game at home. I think their defense will basically give Ryan Tannehill a hard time. I wouldn't be surprised if Tannehill threw under 100 yards in this game. It just threw for 98 yards. And Derrick Henry ran the ball a lot in this game, and it cost him the game. So Washington Commanders get the win here. I'm going to say 27-20. Commanders get the win. Texans Jaguars get the win. No other disputes there. Trevor Lawrence goes off, I think, and I think the Jaguars get the win. I think they shut out the Houston Texans too. That's what I truly believe. 28-0. Trevor Lawrence gets to throw for 4 touchdowns in the game. So there you go. 49ers at the Panthers. I'm going with the 49ers here. Their defense is the real deal here. Baker Mayfield is complete garbage. Their offensive line is complete garbage. They're the most irrelevant team right now in the NFL right now, the Panthers are. And the 49ers are just going to prove that tomorrow when they beat the Panthers. 49ers get this blowout win. And yes, I did say blowout. I'm going to say 42-7. And I think Matt Rule might be out the door. I think 42-7. I think Matt Rule's out the door. I'm not going to rule this out. I think Matt Rule gets fired here. I think the way he answered that whole press conference here right now, it made Baker Mayfield look like the biggest asshole last week, saying how he's quarterback 1 and Darnold's not even nearly ready to come back yet. And it felt like to me he had no choice but to say Baker was the starter here. Like, this is Baker's team. In reality, this team is terrible. Chris McCaffrey is the only bright spot on this team, and they're getting ready to trade him away, which is a mistake by the Carolina. Because at this point, that's it. If Carolina trades Chris McCaffrey away, they're taking the rest away. They're going to go 1-16. That's it. If McCaffrey doesn't want to suit up and play for this team, which I have a funny feeling he doesn't. Half the time he goes in there and watches this game plan, it's like even last against the Cardinals, my first thought was the guy only had 8 carries for 27 yards in this game. If that didn't piss McCaffrey off, which I'm surprised I had no audio from that. But you use him in the passing game, he was the only leading wide receiver in the entire game. That was pretty bad last week against the Arizona Cardinals, a team last week where they probably should have won. They probably should have beaten. They've beaten before. Hell, even in their place. And you get embarrassed at home. Baker Mayfield hates this team, I think, realistically. He's got an attitude problem. He's not confident in himself. He's not happy with himself on this team. That's all there is to it. And at this point, if it has to come down to it, if they got to choose right now between P.J. Walker at this point, who may as well be the starter quarterback on this team at this point, and they want to go with him instead of Baker Mayfield, then go for it. Pull him. I say they pull him here. I say pull him. He's not happy about being on this team. It's pretty obvious. He didn't want to leave. He deep down didn't want to leave Cleveland, but at the same time, they want to be with the organization. And if you want my honest opinion about where he ends up going next year, which is not this team, I think he goes with the Giants. I think next year. I think Daniel Jones is not going to get his deal, but at least they'll have a quarterback next year. Because right now, at this point, they keep on winning. They're not going to get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud anyway, or Anthony Richardson. So what the hell's the point? Or they won't get. They'll probably get a Henry Hooker guy from Tennessee. That's what they'll probably end up getting. Yep. Because they're doing fall cleanup, I guess. I don't know how many fall cleanups they've done at this point, but they've not come here at all in the month of September, except for like one day. So I don't know if we get charged for that or not either. But that's that. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, there's no way. There's absolutely no way at this point. I know it's a little bit jammed up right now. I got some booger snot in my nose, but I've been dealing with a cold this week too. So if I sound different on the podcast, it's because of this cold. But yeah, I could see Baker Mayfield getting this coach fired by this weekend. I can see this whole team not trying this weekend. I can see them quitting this weekend. And the reason I say 42-7 is because Debo's got to have a go off in this game. There's no one's going to cover this guy. No one's going to tackle this guy. It's almost impossible to tackle this guy. If the LA Rams had a hard time tackling him last week in that 57-yard touchdown play, there's no one in Carolina that's good enough to tackle him. I'm sorry. There is no one that's not good enough to cover him. That's it. And I think Debo is the main reason they win this game next week. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 3 touchdowns next week, all from Debo. 3 of them receiving, and 3 of them rushing. He's gonna have a multi-touchdown kind of game. I mean, it's almost impossible to say that, but if you kind of think about it, Debo's kind of their whole offense once again this week. It's pretty much their whole offense every week going forward with Jimmy G at quarterback. So if you have him, you're going to win. If they didn't have him, I'd say that the whole game's completely changed. But otherwise, I can't think of anything wrong with his 49er defense, really. They're the real deal. They've been legit since the season started right now at this point. Armstead, Kinlaw, Michigan Moore, and Jason Verrett are all out in this game. But it doesn't matter because Carolina sucks. Baker Mayfield is the worst quarterback right now for this Carolina offense. I think if they give P.J. Walker a chance, which I've told him he should go back to the XFL, that was me yelling at the Patriots preseason game. Give this kid a chance because Baker Mayfield's losing it. He is. He's not had a good game since week 1. And I don't even think that game was even good. Going back on it, when you think about it, he's thrown under 200 yards ever since that week 1 game. And that's a game that he probably should have won. And his team right now should be 2-2. But unfortunately, they're 1-3. They're going to get the loss here again. And that's it. They may actually be worse than the Falcons. If we're going to go on a limb here and say this right now, if they quit this Sunday and go lose 42-7, they're going to fire their head coach here. And the coach right now is going to make sure that Baker Mayfield doesn't get another start the rest of the season. I'm telling you, that's the way it's going to go right now. But Baker Mayfield is going at this at the wrong way here. So, I don't know. To me, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Anyway, Cowboys-Rams, I'm going with the Cowboys to win. I just think that at this point, the Rams defense is no good. They're bad defensively. They're a Superman team with big, massive egos, and they can't contain it. And I think that's the problem with this Rams team. They have a bad offensive line. Micah Parsons is going to fly all over the place. I think he sacked Stafford twice in this game. He gets like 10 tackles in the game overall. This guy is looking like a runaway unanimously defensive player of the year, in my opinion. He was defensive rookie of the year last year. I'm changing my pick right now to defensive player of the year. I think he's played a hell of a lot better than most defensive players have this year. He's played like an Aaron Donald or Lawrence Taylor. That's what this kid is playing like. And I think, honestly, I love it. I love the way Parsons is playing right now. Cowboys get the win. I'm going to say 34-24. I think this is a 10-point win. I think Cooper Rush right now gets the 3 passing touchdowns in the game. He gets 1 rush to touchdown in the game as well. And I think Ezekiel Elliott gets 1 rushing touchdown. Actually, you know what? Actually, scratch that. I think Micah Parsons gets a pick 6 here against Matthew Stafford here to seal the deal. I don't think there's going to be a rushing touchdown in the game. I think there'll be 4 of them in a game. And then, actually, now the more I think about it, 38-24 to make it 5. I'm sorry. So 38-24. I'm going to Cowboys to win on the road here. The Rams are favored by 5.5. It's an upset for me. It's another upset pick. Eagles, Cardinals, Eagles. They're going to stay undefeated. It sets up for the Sunday night football showdown next weekend between the Cowboys and the Eagles in Philadelphia. I think the Eagles defense is going to be too much for Kyler Murray to handle. Their offensive line is not great against elite defenses, right? Philadelphia is right now. I think Philadelphia gets a win here big. I think they shut down the Cardinals pretty badly in this game. I say 23-3. They hold this team down. That's it. There's no other way of looking at it. I think Jalen Hurts gets at least 2 touchdowns in the game, rushing. And I think A.J. Brown gets the 1 lone receiving touchdown in the game. Sunday night showdown. It is the Bengals and the Ravens. I've been pondering this all week long of who I was going to go with here, but I'm going to go with Cool Joe because Joe Burrow and the Bengals will get the W here. I think Joe Burrow is going to go off in this Ravens defense, just throwing the ball wide. He threw for 400-plus yards last year. It's going to be the same case here. I think he throws for 430 in this game, 433 to be exact. I think he gets 4 touchdowns in the game thrown here, no interceptions here. I think Lamar Jackson is just going to have a hard time here. But I do see this being a quarterback duel in the game. I do see Joe Burrow getting to the last of it in the end here. I think Michigan gets like 1 rushing touchdown maybe. But I think Lamar Jackson and both Joe Burrow will have a duel here. I think Bengals-Ravens might be your game of the year by the end of all this, really. I think Jack gets to 4 touchdowns thrown in a game. I don't think he throws a pick again against the Cincinnati defense. I really don't. But I do see Lamar Jackson getting 4 passing touchdowns in the game. 2 of them to Mark Andrews. 2 of them to that new kid, Josh Oliver, that rookie guy who got his first career touchdown a couple weeks back against the Patriots. I think realistically he'll have a great game. It'll be about the tight ends in this game for the Ravens. It'll be about the wide receiver for the Bengals. No one can cover Jamar Chase in that team. Jamar Chase will have a breakout game. It's Sunday Night Football prime time. I got the Bengals win this game by a score of 35-28. That is my prediction. Bengals going to win 35-28. Monday Night Football will be Raiders at the Chiefs. The Chiefs here, look, they're not that good. That's all you need to know. They're not that good, the Chiefs. I'm sorry, not the Chiefs, sorry. The Raiders. Sorry. Scratch that. The Raiders are not that good. Kansas City's phenomenal. I meant to say Kansas City's phenomenal. I'm gonna be honest right now. Patrick Mahomes right now, the Chiefs right now, they're running away with the AFC, in my opinion. They look like they're the team right now that will more likely run away with the AFC. If they don't, they're second behind Buffalo. The Raiders are terrible. They suck. Chiefs blow them out 51-7. There's no other way of putting it. I think McDaniels might be out the door. We're looking at 2 coaches that will get fired probably by the end of this week, which will be Matt Rule for the Panthers and Josh McDaniels for the Raiders. It's unfortunate. I really had high hope for Matt Rule. Matt Rule looked like a confident head coach, but now he sucks for the Panthers. McDaniels, well, he just sucks in general as a head coach. I'm sorry to say, I am a McDaniels kind of guy. I was kind of hoping for good things for him, but he sucks as a head coach. That's it. That's all I need to know. But yeah, I meant to say Kansas City was a great team. Andy Reid made the calls last week against the Buccaneers defense. It worked to perfection. I guess that would be the theme now going forward now is that Bieniemy now has no hearsay with the offense, really. Andy will be the one play calling the games. It's getting to the point now where Bieniemy at this point can't get a head coaching job, and now at this point can't even call the plays on his own offense that he created. It's just sad, really. You know, I do feel bad for the guy. I mean, Aaron Bieniemy might have a shot next year of head coaching the Panthers. That's it, because they're going to be looking for a head coach next year. So I don't know, because everyone's going to stick around. Doug Peterson's going to stick around in Jacksonville. Saran's going to stick around in Philadelphia. Bill Belichick may never step down ever as a head coach for that Patriot team. He may die as a Patriots head coach. I would say more likely or not, the Houston Texans job might be open. I mean, I don't know, but B&B has got nowhere to go at this point. Nobody wants him. Nobody even wants him in Kansas City. It's just sad, really. It's a sad situation, but it is what it is. So it sucks. It's unfortunate, but, it is what it is. Moving on now from the NFL picks. And again, like I said before, I did pick Kansas City to win this game. I don't think Kansas City is bad. I was just joking there. I made a little flaw there. I meant to say the Raiders, and I said to myself, what am I saying that for? But the Nia Long story and Ime Udoka story got a little more juicier this week. It was according to People magazine, which I have the article right here on Newsbreak. And the People magazine article who made this. This was the Ime Udoka story. So apparently, Catherine, the person who's the part of the story, by the way, the cheating scandal got revealed this week. Kathleen Nemo Lynch, married a mother of 34 years old, not a part of the senior vice president kind of thing, but apparently got the job thanks to Danny Ainge because they're good friends. So he supposedly knew about this stuff, and this is where I draw the line here. This is where this is my taking the whole thing. Ainge knew about this before leaving Boston. Okay? This guy was not even gone at this point because Kathleen probably called him and told him what the hell she just did. And that's what happened here. So apparently he said something, Udoka, to Miss Lynch before the affair. Said something that didn't take too kindly to her, but stuck around with him anyway and stayed in a relationship. Here's my opinion. We don't know what the hell he said. They didn't put on a record here in People's Magazine of what he had said here. It's up to her to reveal that. If she wants to go into depth of what he had said. Maybe that's why he got suspended, really, because of what was said here. Because the more I think about it now, I'm thinking to myself, well, if she's not a senior vice president, which she wasn't because they got the report wrong, was it something that he said that was taken out of context, maybe? And the Celtics just felt like that this guy deserved the year-long suspension? I don't know. To me, it comes out of this fact right now. Joe Mazzulla right now is the interim head coach. Kevin Walker likes him as an interim head coach at this point. To me, my takeaway in the whole thing here is that why'd you stick around if you're her? Why did this come out so soon? What is happening here? Okay, what is happening in this whole thing that's being said here? And here's the fact: why'd you wait until now for this to come out? I'm just curious at this point, And in fact, if this was so diabolical, if this was so terrible, why didn't you just leave? As a matter of fact, why didn't you resign from your position at this point if you didn't feel comfortable working with the guy? You started the affair in the first place. It's not like he came up to you. You came up to him. And I do feel bad for this woman. I do. She's young. She's got a married mother of 3 at this point. She's trying to save her marriage. So is Udoka. I don't think Udoka's going to get out of this, though. I think the woman will. She'll save her marriage. Her marriage will be saved. But Ime Udoka and Nia Long, look, they'll try to work it out, but there's no trust there going forward. I don't think there is. I think at this point, this didn't really break Nia Long, but as far as that relationship goes, and I don't even think they're even married. I think technically they're engaged, but I think realistically, this marriage is over, or whatever this is going to be, because technically they are legally married if they live together, but realistically, aside a marriage license and all of that, the fake marriage engagement is off. That's it. That's just the way I see it at this point. I think Udoka may have hurt his career, whatever was said, and Udoka should come out and say what he said, and take the word judgment from here, because the way I see it, his judgment day is coming. This has to come out at this point, and I think realistically at this point, both parties should be fired from their positions anyway. I mean, she's just as responsible as Udoka is, in my opinion. It's not like she was forced into the relationship. She just wasn't. She wanted it. Even out of the things that he had said to her. So it's not like that she was penetrated, targeted, and all this stuff. She had the affair go on for the entire season. This was not like this was like, it's not like it ended abruptly. Maybe there was no affair. I don't know. They're saying there's an affair that happened afterward, but the stories are all mixed up. There's nothing that's concrete right now about this story. There's a lot of missing pieces, a lot of unanswered questions. And in my opinion, I may have to get to the bottom of this myself. Do more digging. Do more investigating at this point. So to me, if I had a goal out of this, which I believe this is going to be very telling here, of what Udoka had said. And I want the record to be known here. This will never come out. This will never see the light of day, in my opinion. I don't think it's ever going to happen. There's no shot of this woman or anybody else who's part of the Celtics staff at this point that knows about this. The players really knew about the affair. They just didn't want the coach to get suspended. That's my whole takeaway, the whole thing. They thought the suspension thing might be a little bit ridiculous now at this point. But look, they're heaving the words. They're just going to continue without him. Doesn't seem like that Jaylen Brown was that concerned about it. Hold on a second. I just got to take this call over in a second here. Hello?
What are you doing?
I'm in the middle of doing my podcast.
Oh,
Why? What's going on?
what time is that going to end?
In about 10 minutes. Why?
Okay, good. Listen, I got to take her. She's flipping out. I'm going to Pilates right now. She's flipping out. She's going to have to go to the bank. Bank, 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 bank. I didn't take my phone in there, so I didn't know. I got, the place. Rude Awakening for 3 hours.
Yep.
I'm just getting in the car. She's nagging me. So can you meet me at 10 or 1? At 1 o'clock in East Greenwich. You got to go look for my glasses anyway.
Yep.
My glasses are ready. In East Greenwich, in front of the Dave's, I do a protein boil, and I'm going to grab you a sandwich for today and a sandwich for tonight, and then I'm going to drive right to her house. Right here, I don't have to drive all the way back to you. I'm doing you a favor. It's your food.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
And I'll be home tomorrow because I'm not missing the game, so I'll make something for tomorrow. But I'm going to, should I grab 2 paninis or what do you want?
Yeah, grab 2 paninis. Might as well, yeah.
Or whatever they have. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll take whatever. It's fine.
I'll take maybe pizza and a panini or something, all right?
All right.
And then I got you the protein ball. So you have enough food to say. So leave me there at 1, that would help me.
Yep.
It's going to save me an hour.
Yep.
Driving home, then driving all the way to Northeasttown. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I got 50 pages done, man. So I got a lot done. All right, bye.
Bye. Sorry about that. I did not expect my mom to. You know what? I'm actually going to keep the audio here. I might just edit that out. Not edit that out. Now I lost my train of thought now. Apparently my grandmother's freaking out because she's got to go to the bank, even though she doesn't realize the bank closes at 12 o'clock. So I don't know how that's going to work out over there because she's watching my grandmother over the weekend, my mother. So, but anyway, enough about that. But yeah, I mean, this Udoka stuff's kind of crazy. I'm sorry, but it is. I just think it's kind of crazy. Let's see. I might as well get into some baseball posting that was on last night, which was the games that were on last night, the top events. I didn't get to watch all the games, unfortunately, but I do know who won last night between the Guardians and the Rays. The Rays got the loss there in Cleveland. They're now up 1-0. Game 2 is on today. If Cleveland wins, they advance, obviously, because it's a best of 3. Really, the scoring game here, top of the 6th inning, Siri hit a home in the right center field, and Ozzy Ramirez countered that with 2-run shot, made it 2-1. This was a wild game here. McClanahan went 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Bieber had 7 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Bieber was on his game in this game. He was dominant in the game. Clays did get the save towards the end here. Top of the 9th inning. We'll get to the top of the 9th here. I'm not sure why. Oh, here we go. Top of the 9th here. Arizona flew out to left field. That was the end of the game there. Guardians win 2-1. Philadelphia Phillies at the Cardinals. It was a wild 9th inning for the Philadelphia Phillies. Bottom of the 7th right now, Yepes had a 2-run shot to left field to make it 2-0. Top 9th, Bohm hit by a pitch which allowed Romero to score. Base was still loaded at that point. Saragua single to right field there. Castanella scored and Harper scored. Stock ground out in the fielder's choice made it 4-2. Marsh had a single to left field right now. Kyle Schwarber had a sacrifice fly. It was 6-2. Corbin had a single to right field for the Cardinals to score right there. Unfortunately, that's all the Cardinals could have done in this game. 6-3. Philadelphia Phillies take one in St. Louis. Seattle Mariners and the Blue Jays. This is a crazy game here. Luis Castillo went off in this game. 7 1/3, 5 strikeouts, no earned runs, no walks, 6 hits. Suarez doubled to right field. Raleigh had a 2-run shot, made it 3-0, and Suarez ground into a field's choice, which allowed Rodriguez to score. Rodriguez was 1 for 3 in the game. French was 1 for 5. Suarez was 2 for 4, and Raleigh was 1 for 4 with that home run. As the Mariners beat the Blue Jays 4-0. Padres and the Mets. This was a wild game. Max Scherzer got exposed badly. That's all I gotta say. He got exposed. This actually would have been the name of the show today, the podcast today. I named it Broncos Country Wants Hackett Out, I believe. I think that's what the name of my podcast title was today. But this, originally, I was going to name this Scherzer Exposed in New York City. It's basically what I was going to say today because this was a homer fest. This might as well have been a home run derby today. Bell had a 2-run shot for the Padres. Gresham had a solo shot to right field. Profer had a homer to right field, which was a 3-run shot. And Manny Machado had a solo home run. 4 home runs by the Padres allowed. 4 2/3 for Max Scherzer. 7 hits, 7 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks. Darvish was his deal here. 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 4 strikeouts. What a great game for him. As the Padres beat the Mets here, the Mets, by the way, had Escobar had a solo shot to center field. That's all they wrote, though. Padres get a huge win in Citi Field, 7-1. So that's that. The Padres got the W here. In my opinion, this was a shock right now. I was wrong about the 2 games right here with the Phillies and Cardinals. I had the Cardinals winning that game, and I had the Mets winning up against the Padres. DeGrom is supposedly starting Game 3 for Game 2. We do have a Game 2 lineup for the Rays and Guardians. It will be Glasnow and McKenzie for the Rays. It's coming out in about 10 minutes. At 4 o'clock today, it is Robbie Ray versus Kevin Guzman. And I think that for the Padres and Mets, it is Jacob DeGrom taking on Blake Snell. Nice pitching duel there between those two. And as far as that one goes, Aaron Nola will take on McCullers for St. Louis. That's on tonight at 8:30. So those are your baseball highlights there. It is 11:53. I am going to wrap up the show up here. I did under an hour here. Again, I apologize for the interruptions with the lawn cutting and the my mom on the phone. Anyway, that will seal the deal here. That is the end of the show this week. You can follow me on my Snapchat, Instagram, Bleacher Report, TikTok, Facebook. You know the rest of the drill. I've said this so many times. You can follow my friend Mike on his stuff. Mike, please try to show up, kid. That's all I got to say. Try to get up early. Even if I want to do the show early, get up early, okay? I'm not expecting a lot, okay? Just try to get up early. And Brian Pelletier, shout out to him. Unfortunately, he canceled the show. Hopefully, he'll hook up soon. And shout out to Quiddy Pay. Hope you get healed soon, kid. That's all I got to say. It's unfortunate he suffered the ankle injury that he suffered. He should be out 4 weeks or so. He should be fine. Been trying to get him on the show. So I've been trying to get him on the show. We're trying to get a lot of Indianapolis Colts players on the show. We're trying to get a lot of Patriots players on their show. I will have guests here on their show soon enough. I apologize at this point. Through 85 episodes, I've been advertising that there'll be guests on my show. Unfortunately, I just haven't had time to get hosting here. There's been a lot of scheduling issues. There's been a lot of issues altogether, trying to get the show together, trying to get the scheduling here, trying to get people to come here. It's been a pain in the ass. I may as well be the guy right now who's reaching out right now and not getting the return. So, yeah, either way, that's it. I got college football to watch right now from 12 to 8 or 12 to 9 or whatever the hell, or 12 to 11, maybe 12 to 12 to 9. Who knows? But, yeah, NFL's on tomorrow. Baseball's on today, so it'll be a mixture of both. Game 2s of the wild cards are on today. The Guardians win, they eliminate the Rays. If the Mariners win, they eliminate the Blue Jays. If the Padres win, they eliminate the Mets. The 101-win Mets, to be exact. Phillies and Cardinals. I don't see this being a sweep here, but I do see the Mariners being sweeping the Blue Jays. I do see the Guardians sweeping the Rays. The Mets have got to win. They'll force a 3-game series in that series there. Those are the 2 games right there that will be in a 3-game series. Padres, Mets, and Phillies, Cardinals. So I am signing off here. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you all on Tuesday for the reviews for college football and for the NFL. So it'll be a long show. Get ready for that. It'll be a long show. Plus, whatever's going on with the investigation story, I'm going to try to get an interview with somebody this week about this to see what was said. I'll be the first one to scoop it up here, and maybe I'll get recognized. Who knows? I'll be more than a YouTube sensation. Let's just put it that way. So I am signing off here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I'm out.